Another year, another Oscars ceremony. Everyone's favorite yearly event where rich egomaniacs gather together in the stupidest clothes imaginable to yank each other's chains and congratulate themselves on a job kinda, sorta, well done, but not really most of the time. I'd be remiss, however, if I didn't address the greatest tragedy of our times leading into this year's awards. Academy members are now required to actually watch the movies they vote on. Oh, the humanity. Almost as devastating as the new category for achievement in casting. Now how are we supposed to toss awards at biopic actors who look and maybe even sometimes manage to sound like the real-life people they're playing as? The short answer is they'll do it anyway because the Oscars are stupid. Even so, it's always cool when deserving films manage to snag some recognition for themselves. What is up for the main prize this year anyway? I didn't expect to see this one here, but I'm glad it is. Yorgos Lanthimos has been on quite the run since 2015, so it's great to see him becoming sort of a regular at the Oscars in recent years. Despite arguably being the most mainstream film he's made, it's still not quite the awards darling that Poor Things and The Favorite were. 4 nominations is nothing to scoff at, but nothing for Jesse Plemons. No casting nomination? Seriously? The way they discovered the perfect actor to play the cousin character feels like the exact sort of thing the Academy should be honoring with that new category. Does it not? Come on, Sinners has more than enough nominations anyway. You can spread the love just a little bit. You'd think with the Academy insisting this stubbornly on throwing a blockbuster into the race every year, they'd at least nominate Superman or something. Why didn't they do that, you may ask? The answer is that Warner Brothers poured their entire campaign budget into Sinners, and the Academy infamously doesn't know what films come out in a given year unless they're campaigned by a studio. Yes, sadly, even Superman. This nomination reeks of voters forgetting about the new viewing mandate while browsing through consideration material and just picking something they took their kids to see. The people who get to pick the year's best movies just really don't like watching movies. We are truly the dumbest species. Guillermo del Toro once said he dreamed of someday having the opportunity to make an adaptation of Frankenstein that's faithful to the original novel. Looks like he's gonna have to keep dreaming. Either that or he is dreaming if he believes this is at all loyal to the source material. 9 nominations is way excessive, but to be fair, I'm guessing Netflix agreed to produce this film with streaming in mind, and that tends to be their defense anytime they want to cheap out or be lazy. The practical sets and effects are great as expected from Guillermo, but the CG has Netflix's stink all over it. I didn't go into this expecting Pan's Labyrinth or anything, and I got a bit of what I wanted, but it just left me wanting more, you know? I really hated this film, but rather than its individual elements holding it back, it was the execution that sent it circling the drain. Jessie Buckley did well enough, she has Best Actress in the bag, but how many of her scenes are going to be used as crying gifs in the future? Like, yep, that's her crying. Yep, there she is again, and again, and again. Wow, she sure is good at crying. The whole thing is just so manipulative. Let's dangle kids in front of the audience until they cry. The child characters were so shamelessly just props to evoke emotion, it's not even funny. How would writing them with any amount of depth at all have been detrimental to the experience? How do you manage to make grief porn feel apathetic? Uncut Gems may have been snubbed for basically no reason 6 years ago, but the Academy is making up for it now. This one deserves the love too. Timothée Chalamet has been hurting for an Oscar for years, and this feels like his best chance. Also, shout out to the costume design. I haven't seen anyone talk about it, but those Hubble lens glasses did wonders separating the thirst trap actor from the snake of a character. No original score nomination is a war crime though, one of this year's highest magnitude snubs. This film won't sniff Best Picture, but Josh Safdie is officially solidified as the Joel Cohen to Benny's Ethan, and maybe as Harvey Weinstein's future cellmate too if those articles hold any water. Ouch. Not just one of the best of the year, but one of the best of the decade so far. This film holds a mirror up to America and shamelessly puts its increasingly universal lunacy and chaos on full display for everyone to see, all while still managing to be fun, exhilarating, hilarious, and never feeling politically preachy despite definitely making political statements. It's the exact kind of inherently ambitious and brutally honest project that no sane director in Hollywood today would have the balls to dare tackle, but luckily for us, Paul Thomas Anderson is anything but sane. What we see here is not a man, but a master practicing his craft. He came out firing on all cylinders with this one. The screenplay sinking the hook early on and never letting go, the powerhouse performances bringing those delightfully over-the-top characters to life, the cinematography, my god, the cinematography. That hill scene and the way it was shot already feels like a classic, and the music has a simplicity to it that on paper you wouldn't expect to work, especially one stretch where it's essentially just 4 notes being repeated over and over for what feels like 40 minutes, but it keeps the tension high and the pace moving forward so insanely well that it's kinda hard to believe. It's not very often at all when 13 nominations isn't enough to lead the pack, but that just means it has competition, which is great. More good movies is a good thing. At the same time, however, I'd argue that this film is the competition, the mark every filmmaker should aspire to reach moving forward, even if this one doesn't win. Please win. The Academy paying even a speck of attention to non-American films is a win in my book, but that being said, this year's Brazilian Miracle isn't a true miracle so much as it is a small favor from a friend. And I'm willing to chalk it up to a cultural divide, seeing as how it's very clearly making very culturally specific statements, but that would be ignoring everything its predecessor did so well. I'm Still Here had a solid through line from start to finish, whereas this one sets up the dominoes in the first 20 minutes and then hops around from subplot to subplot for 2 hours before even thinking about knocking them over. No other choice and it was just an accident. We're right there for international nominees, just saying. If the film bros angrily punching the air because Norway got into the Best Picture race over the likes of Superman or Mission Impossible actually watched movies, they'd know this is a great one. Joachim Trier and Renate Reinsve are extremely underrated as a director-actor duo, so seeing them both nominated for a passion project they did together is very satisfying. Oh, here's the caveat: no production design nomination. This movie would be fundamentally weaker if not for the set working in tandem with the screenplay and doing so much subtle storytelling in the background. Voters only seem to appreciate what was on the surface with this one, but trust me, this is a film that rewards its audience for paying attention. Not just leading the way, but breaking the record for most nominations in a single ceremony, and yet people online are still insecure and up in arms about it. Yes, there are alt-right weirdos out there who refuse to engage with this movie in good faith or even at all, but slapping that label onto anyone who doesn't revere this movie as a modern-day masterpiece is such cope, it's enough salt to keep streets around the world clear for centuries to come. As far as the film itself, it's clear that creative compromises were made in the name of marketability, but considering just how much Ryan Coogler had riding on its success, good for him. Not even kidding. I'd sacrifice the latter half of my movie to earn that bag too if I could. This is the best example since Perfect Days of what I affectionately referred to as a vibe movie. No grandiose statements, no greater purpose, no agenda other than pure vibes. It won't gel with everyone, but that's the risk vibe movies accept for existing. This one is hypnotic and almost dreamlike at points, like a Terrence Malick film but far more streamlined. The cinematography is something special, and if this is gonna trip and fall backwards into a win anywhere, I sure do hope it's that one. Yeah, this film isn't exactly what I'd call special, but honestly, that's okay. It's not starving for recognition, it's just happy to be here and is content with merely being. Vibes, man. Vibes. It's like a hippie in movie form. Honestly, this year's batch of Best Picture hopefuls is pretty on par with last year, maybe a little better in some cases, maybe a little worse. It looks like I actually care about a good half of the playing field this year, more or less. If I had to rank them in order of personal preference, it would probably go something like One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, Marty Supreme, Bugonia, Train Dreams, Sinners, Frankenstein, The Secret Agent, and F1 and Hamnet tied for last place. Still nothing as generationally awful as Don't Look Up or Maestro or Emilia Perez this year, so that's always a plus. Alright, enough suspense. What do I think will walk away with the grandest of prizes?
Ball's in your court.
Last year I actually got this right, and all I had to do was pick the betting favorite. What's leading the way right now? One Battle After Another? That would be so awesome. Paul Thomas Anderson finally getting that ever-elusive Oscar with his best project since There Will Be Blood. Oh, and maybe directing too, and oh, who am I kidding? Yeah, I don't care what Vegas says this time. I'm not ignoring what my brain and common sense are telling me. Sinners will be the 98th recipient of the Academy Award for Best Picture. For his next film, Ryan Coogler will direct a biographical tragicomedy comedy about the real-life superhero Phoenix Jones, starring Michael B. Jordan, of course. And who knows, maybe some long overdue chaos and shenanigans will swoop in at the 11th hour to change fate, or at least make the ceremony a little less boring this year. Please?